Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Money Talk with Melanie. I am your business diva, Melanie Collette, and happy to be with you today. Now, if some of you, before I even get into the normal buffoonery, for those of you who usually may listen, those of you in Facey Land, who may usually listen on SHR Media, unfortunately, the website is down right now. So, and if you're listening on any of the other, on High Plains Pleasant Talk Radio, you can catch me on Facey. I am streaming live on Facey from my personal page. I am going to post it to my show page in a moment. But I wanted to let you guys know that from the outset. And I'm broadcasting live via SHR Media and High Plains Pleasant Talk Radio here in beautiful Cape May County, New Jersey. I am excited, very excited. And that's why I'm running late. So excited about my guest today that we were chatting, and I lost track of time and I jumped on a little bit late. Apologize. My guest today is assistant professor of management at Busch School of Business and Economics at the Catholic University of America. And he's going to talk to us today about the unintended consequences of the Trump tax plan. Now, I am, because of our schedule, hey Ron, hey Robert, Ron Edwards. We're going to hear from Ron Edwards in a few minutes. Teddy Lee, Navarre, John, hey, what's happening? Thank you for joining me. Because of our schedule, I'm going to actually do the news and commentary last so that Mr. Yoest can move on to whatever really important interviews he has to do after he's done with me today. So I'm switching my normal format around just a little tiny bit. Hi, Paul. And we're going to get right into speaking with Mr. Yoest. How are you?
I'm just fine, thank you. I'm calling you from the nation's capital.
Yes, he's calling direct from the swamp. I recognize the area code when you called. I have many friends that are living in the swamp as well. I know, but we need you guys there. We need you guys there.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
We do. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Mr. Yoest. Let me Google Drive, which is what I usually use to put all my information in one beautiful place because I'm very meticulous about my show prep, was down to like 2 minutes before I went to air. So all my notes are like all over the place. But so for a little bit sketchy, not in smooth, that's why. But first and foremost, he's the author of a book called The Memo, How the Classified Military Document that helped the U.S. win World War II can help you succeed in business. So we're going to talk a little bit about that after we talk about the Trump tax plan, but I'm excited about that book as well. Also, he served as Assistant Secretary for the Health and Human Resources, as Clinical Assistant Professor of Management, Senior Business Mentor in High Technology Medicine, Nonprofit and New Media Consulting, fantastic, expert in management, training, and development, operations, sales, and marketing. And he's worked with clients not only in the U.S., but in India, East Asia, and he's the president of Training of DC LLC. So without further ado, welcome, Mr. Yoest. I must have. Oh, you're back. I didn't even realize I lost you.
Yeah, I might have dropped the call. I have a brand new iPhone, and so I might have done something on my end. So.
Well, you know what? I literally just said, without further ado, welcome, Mr. Yoest. You just missed all the information you already know, which was your bio
Okay.
and your book.
Thank you.
So welcome, Mr. Yoest.
Okay, yeah, that's an honor to be here with a business diva.
Thank you so much. I am indeed the business diva. So let's talk about unintended consequences of the Trump tax plan, which, you know, seems to be changing daily. What do you think?
Yes, yeah, I know. I like to call it the unintended consequences because it's all the same things that happened during the Reagan tax cuts. And whenever we talk about tax policy, we really should be talking less with my friends, the economists, because I teach at the Busch School of Business and Economics at the Catholic University of America, so I love my economic professors. But they really should be talking to you. Now, the reason why they should be talking to you is because tax policy is a human endeavor that people change their behaviors. This is not a static, evaluation of, here are the numbers and here's they go and here's the trend lines again. No, they need to talk to somebody that understands people, how they react, how they're going to order their life, and how they'll change their behaviors to maximize the tax code. Where our economic friends look at the world as a static display of simple numbers. So they need to be talking to people that more sociologists or anthropologists or people that know how people are going to move in their lives. So that's why I'm a fan of your work, Melanie, because you would be a better counselor at this than some of my economic friends.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that very much. Now, I feel like I've talked about tax reform like constantly because it's such a moving target these days. But
you're right.
It really is, and it keeps changing. Now, they're supposed to present, I believe it's the Senate is supposed to present theirs on Thursday. It's supposed to go for a vote on Thursday. Now,
yeah, supposed to, yeah.
Now, one senator already said he's out this afternoon. That was like breaking news.
Yeah. They need to get out of the Senate side of the Congress so they can mash them together with the House side. So no telling what that's going to look like. But there will be some themes that will come out from the emphasis of the two chambers, and the end result is going to be that we'll probably have fewer brackets. There'll be some compromise on state deductions. President Trump has endorsed the plan that's coming out of the House side,
right?
And that's the more aggressive side. But with the sausage making of making law here in the nation's capital, we're going to have something that'll be a blend of the two, and our perfectionist friends on our side of the political spectrum, they lose their sense of humor because it's just not going to be perfect, for what they might need, and especially for the constituents. So this is the art of the deal, and really the art of the compromise. And so you're right. I'm kind of looking forward to see what the world comes out of the Senate side and what the two chambers come up with.
Exactly. I mean, that's the thing that's really borderline frightening. Just a little bit, because you're like I heard today that they're thinking about putting the mandate in there. Why the mandate for the healthcare bill?
No, yeah.
Why?
Because they need the revenue to show statically that if we put the mandate in for Obamacare, that raises revenue according to a static display. But of course, as you and your listeners would know, surely if you put the mandate in, people will then simply do all they can to avoid the mandate. Because that's simply a tax. So people's behavior will change. That's most unfortunate. I'm not sure that the House would go along with actually passing something like that, or in the crossover reconciliation come up with something.
Right.
President Trump called the House plan. He called it the rocket fuel that our economy needs to soar higher than ever before. So and I think Trump has got it that we've just begun to explode this economy. We've just started, and I think this tax plan, at least on the House side, is just what we need to explode the economy even more.
Well, the problem is already on the Senate side, because I can't remember which senator this was, but this is not even your normal. We're not even talking McCain and the other chick, Collins, who usually vote against everything their party does. We're not even talking about those two. This is a different senator, and I'm like, what?
Right. And what will happen on this is that where the senators are showing some concerns at the deduction over the state income tax, and that's going to be a real problem, because on a narrow sense, the senators would be voting against the interests of the constituents, because and certainly even on the congressional side, the Congress, the representative tax on your federal return. And that is a problem for for any representative that has a short-term view of what's best for the country, balanced against the immediate needs of what constituents may demand.
And that I feel. Listen, I sympathize with those legislators because look, I live in New Jersey, okay, where we're looking at we're looking at like 12%. I think is our tax rate. It's ridiculous.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And right now we get to deduct that. So it's a tough spot, right? Because particularly if you're a conservative, because from a conservative and economic perspective and the constitutional perspective, I'm going, well, is it really the federal government's, responsibility to help us out because our folks that are running our state government can't get their act together and lower our taxes?
That's right. And here's you're on track with the right way that our lawmakers should look at this. In that, even though there might be the closing of that deduction, that loophole for deducting your state taxes, what will happen is that the economy will grow so much. The economy will grow. It's not on a static line. That people will change their behaviors, and the economy will explode, and people will make more money. And when they make more money, as your other guests have said, over the past few weeks, they'll pay more taxes. So I would bet you 30 cents here, the business fever, that the revenue for those states would increase.
And that's the thing. But here's the thing, and here's the problem that we have as Republicans. I just want to take a second and give a few more shout outs. Catherine, Joyce, Bobby Jones, second Sean, the boss man, is watching my show. Eric, Susan Toohey, how are you? Matt and Ronald Thomas, hi. I just always like to engage when people are watching. But here's that's the other problem that we have as Republicans. I feel we're always explaining the minutia of the policy. We're intellectualizing, right? All the time.
Right. Yes, ma'am.
Conceptually,
right.
And people are like, yeah, but is my paycheck going to be bigger or no? you know what I mean?
That's right. And according to the economic models that they give out, that might take an explanation of the time that you devote for it to explain it. And I know that sounds patronizing. Forgive me for that, but that's what the country needs, is to hear you explain it and have people explain it for them. Because it can't fit on the bumper sticker, because it's more subtle than that. And the short way of saying it is that we live in a dynamic economy, that people are going to change their behaviors so that they're going to make more money, and they will probably move into a different tax bracket, probably a higher one, because they're going to make more money. Or they'll stop working two jobs and just work the one job. People's behavior will change in ways that we can't yet anticipate how they're going to change. Where we don't know if that particular tax bracket right now, as proposed, will they'll pay more money or not, because the behavior will change.
It's true, and the problem, if you want to call it a problem, the problem with communicating that is that it's all in the macro, right?
That's right. Yeah, that's right. It doesn't fit on a bumper sticker.
No,
that's not believable on a bumper sticker.
It's not, and you can't. There's no way to really express that to a taxpayer what you've just explained. Holly, how are you? Hello. There's really no way to explain that. From a micro perspective.
That's right, and because our friends on the left, we can call them our friends still, don't quite understand that the 1%, they're saying the 1% are going to get richer. Well, I talked to I thought I was earning a very comfortable living, with a very positive management book and professional, and so I'm talking to my banker about deposits, and he looked at me strange and says, no, in his bank, the biggest depositors were plumbers.
Oh, I'm not surprised.
What do you mean plumbers? And he says, well, yeah, they run their business through their checking accounts as a subject their S corporation. So, under the tax plans, coming from proposed by President Trump, they're, instead of being taxed at the personal rate, they will tax at max at 25. So your plumber is the guy that is labeled in the 1% because he runs his business through his checking account. And our friends don't understand that because they don't really work for a living, as plumbers do. That understand how to run a business. And you're right. That can't be. You can't put that on a bumper sticker. That the richest 1%, because he's running a subchapter S company. So.
So Thursday, I'm just gonna take some Tylenol and some coffee and watch this just crash and burn. Is that like, is this gonna really be another tax plan that catches and burn? And then the president is gonna be tweeting, and I'm just gonna want to run and jump off of something high. Is that what's gonna happen on Thursday?
I don't think so. The great challenge is that you and I are looking at this. We should be able to do this with both houses, both parts of Congress and the executive branch. We should be able to do a deal. But off the record. But
of course, just between us.
But it's still, we're growing right now. It's at 3.1%. We haven't had that in 8 years of Obama, and we had 2 consecutive quarters in a row, and we'll have more quarters. And President Trump hasn't done anything yet except inspire and give confidence to businesses to do business and to take risk. Whereas before, from the previous administration, business owners didn't take the risk. Now they're taking it, and we haven't even done anything. Can you imagine how much more growth we're going to get when there's some kind of tax relief somewhere? 3% and over 3% is spectacular growth, and all of our friends are going to be employed.
It is, and listen, and there's definitely more jobs out there. There are more jobs out there.
Exactly.
The growth is ridiculous, and listen, Republicans, please, for the love of all that is holy, don't mess this up.
You've got a point there. If there's a way to screw it up, our side can do it because we're perfectionists and we want to do things absolutely the right way, and sometimes we don't have that sense of accomplishment and falling in line with the right way to do that. As the Democrats seem to be able to do it on the other side of the aisle, they'll do all because their job is to grow the government, and they make more money when they all pull together, and we're doing just the opposite. We're making it smaller.
Well, that and I think the bigger problem for us is the messaging, because Democrats are going to say what they've been doing. This stinks. It's rotten high. They don't mention anything about economics and macro growth, and it's rotten to its core. It's going to kill babies and kittens. Like, they just call out this alarmist, thing, and people believe them. And they never talk economics.
And the friends of the press report it as such. So, the power of the press is the power to ignore. So they ignore whole sections and will not report everything and not say it and just report the talking points. They're literally typists for the Democrat Party. So and that's why the hashtag fake news got such traction, because not just our people, but even the independents in the middle of the electorate say, well, wait a minute, this is openly biased towards the liberal side, and that's, and first off, it's not the American way. It's just not fair.
It is not fair. It is not fair. But our senators have to grow a backbone. Our legislators have to grow a backbone and start standing up and learning how to message. Like, are there no Republicans who know how to message? Well, I said we fight for. Listen, it worked for President Trump. Hope and change. Make America great again. Sound familiar? He didn't get into.
That's right.
Well, everybody.
To go up to 30,000 feet, say that you're going to be better off doing this. But the problem is, if you have a narrow constituency constituency. You have the tyranny of the urgent that pushes out the important, where you're concerned about the immediacy of getting elected in this cycle. That's unfortunate.
It is.
Part of it is that the leadership and the Senate, I think could be more aggressive by using the emphasis of and the power and the purse of the government to help those and the RNC, the Republican National Committee, can help those senators and reassure them that the resources will still have the resources to help you make those hard decisions.
Indeed. Now let me ask you this: one of the big issues with the tax, actually debates, I should say, or controversies about the new tax plan is that some people's taxes are going to get raised. How do you feel about that? Some people, are totally denying it. Everybody's going to get a tax cut. Everybody's taxes are going to go down. And then you have some legislators that are on TV saying, well, no, some in the upper tier and the upper middle brackets, they may either stay the same or go up a little bit. So what are your feelings on that?
Well, statically, that they might be right, but the answer is, the real answer is that we don't know, and that's why you're the smart politicians that won't answer that question directly and simply dance around it to say that this particular bracket will go up or not, because under a new tax plan, people's behavior, for example, one of the things that we got surprised about during the Reagan tax cut is that you could write a check to your tax attorney to put together a tax shelter in place. So you spend $1,000 with him. But when Reagan came along and made modifications, people would say, well, wait a minute, I can spend $1,000 on this tax, avoidance evadance scheme, or I can spend it on lawyers to fix it, or I can just go pay the government. But if I give the government a check, then I don't have to manage it, I don't have to worry about it, I won't get audited. So a lot of times people will change their behaviors and say, well, who needs to invest in a tax haven to protect reduce taxable income? Heck, I may decide it's less to worry about. No, just like it might be worth $100 to me, to move my Quicken number over, so there's less risk that I'll be audited.
Right.
So will I be paying higher taxes? Technically, I might be, but I won't have to worry about managing the process. So what we found is that people will say, oh, well, I'll write the government a check I'd rather write a government a check for $500 than write a check to my accountant for $500. So when you're ordering your life, the rational human says that I have to account for total costs, and then I have to worry about it, and I got to manage the tax process, and I got to keep up with this, and that's going to change. And there'll be things like that that will happen. People will change their behaviors, and I am convinced they'll start making more money, and that might push them into a tax bracket where they wouldn't, where they will be paying. They might, I don't know this, where they might, you can conceivably come up where they might pay more taxes, but they're making a whole lot more money.
Right.
And they'll say, that'd be fine with me. I'd be delighted to move into that upper tax bracket where my taxes were higher than they were last year, but I'm making 20% more money this year. So that's a pretty good deal.
Indeed.
But you're exactly right. You can't explain that on a bumper sticker. You can't say all that the other side will hear is that your taxes are going up, and that's not fair.
It's not fair. It's not fair. Al Ashworth is in the house. Holly Dunn is in the house. All these heavy hitters are watching and listening today. I'm so excited. Hi, Scott Kern. Hi, Todd Allen in the house. Tina, hello. Bobby Dale, how are you? I'm always excited when other show hosts listen to my show. I'm like, what? What are you doing here? I know you got stuff to do. Other people who have shows. So, but now let me ask you about the death tax or the estate tax, which we also have. Do you think that's going to stay in, out? What do you think the eventual?
I don't understand the Senate why they're doing that. So the short answer is that I don't know. And the great problem with that is that that's one of those things that people order their lives around. And I like the House version where they get rid of the death tax, and it's and there's no good reason to keep that. It's not that much of a revenue generator, and but I don't know. It's sometimes the Senate. I think, and I don't know this for a fact, but my sense is that they're using it as some kind of negotiating issue in the log rolling that is our political process, and I would be surprised that the House version of repealing the death tax does not remain in some form.
I mean, I thought that there was pretty much bipartisan support on getting rid of that.
You'd think, or certainly they would have run on it because it's a very popular conservative populist thought. But as we saw in the trying to repeal Obamacare, people campaigned one way and voted another.
What? You mean a politician didn't tell the truth?
No, gosh. I did a tour of duty in state government, working for Governor Gilmore, back in the turn of the millennial. And one of the things that we held sacrosanct was, what was a campaign promise? Did you campaign on it? Did you promise it? And that was our guiding star. Was if you campaign on it, this is what we were going to do. But things may have changed in the couple of decades since I was doing the tour of duty.
Yeah, no, I think the truth is still the truth. If I'm not mistaken, and if you say that you're going to make it your aim to repeal Obamacare, and then you vote against it, you lied. I mean, or at minimum, change your mind, or as politicians like to say, evolved.
Yeah. Well, I can understand the changing of the mind and negotiate. I can understand that if our side would get something, but far too often they change their mind. And what did we get? It's because everything is compromised. I can understand that, but you better give me something big if you're going to break a campaign promise and not fulfill a campaign promise. Then there better be a really good reason, and then you better be able to explain it. So
exactly.
But I don't see that. Our side just doesn't do that.
We don't, and it's unfortunate. And one of these days we're going to learn. I thought that the 2016 election was going to do it, like it didn't hit home, but no. You see the other races across the country. We're still primarying each other to death. We're still like we learn. It's like we learned nothing. We
That's right. No, I was me and Charmaine, my wife. We were in New York City.
Appropriate.
At that night, and everybody cried, and we thought that that the country, if at least the Republican Party would come together as one and understand that there was that who got elected and why to make the world a better place. And as your show has pointed out, over the months, that just hasn't happened the way we thought that it would.
It's really sad, and they better get on it now. Before I go to break and let you go on to whatever wonderful thing you have planned after this, I do want to talk about your book, The Memo.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I would love to talk about that, particularly because it has a biblical perspective, which I totally love. No, there's no business book that I've ever read that has anything about the Bible in it. So
no, and it should. That's right. No, you're exactly right. In fact, the book. Thank you for saying that, because the book is doing surprisingly well, because it is a management book on execution of leadership and followership. But I've got a scriptural basis for it. So I was rather surprised that it would get the reception that it would, and on the doctrine of completed staff work, where staff do the work and thoroughly vet an idea, evaluate options, and give a recommendation to the boss, and the manager simply makes a decision. But that's got a scriptural basis that I haven't got any pushback. faith tradition or no faith tradition, I still see the Bible as a book that might have some use, and so it's a delight to quote, to make a winsome argument, for a good management technique of completed staff work, as well as try to have people see the gospel in a way that may not have had enjoyed a popular way of explaining.
Exactly. I mean, the first thing that came to mind when I read that, I was like, well, heck, who's a better leader than Jesus? I mean,
that's right. Yeah.
I can't think of one.
Exactly.
I thought it was genius, to be quite honest. Now, the book. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, thank you for saying that, because in fact, I start off by saying that if completed staff work, which was described in a memo during World War II, if it had a scriptural verse, it would be from John, where the verse where it was Christ's last words on the cross, which are, it is finished. So completed staff work is simply where the staff or the followers in an organization give the boss completed staff work where there's nothing to add. So it's, that's the Bible verse that's behind it that drives the emphasis of completed staff work, where the staff anticipates what the boss wants, but the boss also works with his staff to get ideas, to get recommendations, and to force his staff or her staff to say, what do you think? And get ideas from the staff. And once the staff comes up with the idea, the boss says, fine, go ahead and do it. And we are then empowered because it's our idea to start with. So this has just been a delight to review.
That's very exciting, but particularly in a world where, quite frankly, the left is just working to squash anything God Bible based.
Oh.
Anywhere, particularly in the secular arena. So I just love that you have managed to marry those two concepts.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's right. It's two different emphasis that are seldom put together, but deserve to be put together. So this has just been a delight to work both faith, reason, and business under a doctrine or a management concept that there's actually nothing in the literature that talks about leadership and followership. So that's what Christ said. Follow me. He didn't simply issue a command or force people to follow him. It was a debate, a rhetoric, an idea, an argument that you should follow me.
Now,
and that's what business leaders should do today.
I love it. Now, one of the things I read in kind of the Cliff Notes version, if you will, is that you encourage managers to tolerate imperfection. Now, this is something that you don't hear often, particularly from managers.
Oh gosh, you're exactly on target. Because one of the things that's the great challenge is when we work as individual contributors, we do the doing, we do the work. We're actually the ones that are laying the bricks, driving the truck, the accountant adding up numbers, or an expert typing out a press release. There better not be any errors. The individual contributor, the one that does the work, works in the realm of perfection. But once you get promoted and take on the managerial role of getting things done through other people, you are now in the world of imperfection, because you're not working on a piece of machinery, turning a lathe, turning a crankshaft on a lathe to microscopic tolerances. You don't operate a keyboard anymore, or some software, or a piece of machinery. You're now working, getting things done through people. And people, Melanie, are just a mess.
Oh my goodness.
So you better be, tolerating, imperfection. And so the individual contributor, the typist works in error-free, quality's job one with zero defects. But the manager working to a person better have some tolerance for imperfection, better allow their staff to train and push them and let them fail. You would never. Management is more of an at-bat at baseball, where a 300 batting average is pretty darn good. You can make a very good living with a 300 batting average in the MLB, but 7 out of 10 times you're walking back to the dugout. And that's hard for us to understand, is that, managers, you're not going to get it right all the time. You're going to run out of time, or better a fuzzy decision now than the perfect decision next week, because next week will be too late. You'll be overcome by events. And this is why managers make the money and earn the incomes that they do, because the guy in charge got all these things to balance, to counterbalance, and he's got to get it done through people. And as Kierkegaard said, no straight line has ever been drawn with the crooked timber of the human condition.
So true.
Humans. When I had my first real job, I had like 14,000 employees, and I was vice president level. And one of the things I found out is that I was spending a day a week, maybe a day a month, 2 days a month, going to funerals. Very large organization. Just there's death. People have things in their lives that are just. It wasn't part of my job description. Nobody ever said you're going to spend a couple days a month, going to funerals, because with in an organization of 14,000 people are going to die. Just bad things happen, or there's accidents. So I felt like I was a pastor. I was going to hospitals and people in their homes and sick beds. And somebody's husband. It was wow. I've been teaching management for a decade, and I've never seen that in a textbook that says you've got to that people would have these kinds of personnel challenges. That it's the boss's job to work with.
Indeed, and it kind of reminds me. It reminds me of the scripture that talks about how basically you'll be messing up, but God is going to make your path straight. Is the essence of the scripture.
Proverbs does that right.
Exactly. And that's what it puts me in the mind of embracing imperfection, or allowing imperfection, and kind of trying to work within that, because that's what God does with us.
This is a biblical structure for management, in that once you become a Christian and you accept Jesus Christ, you don't stop sinning, and you're still human. So this the Christian story is one of imperfection.
The entire story, the whole story.
We don't stop sinning. I mean, we're still human failings. We're repentant sinners. There's the difference, and we don't want to do it, but every saint has a past, and every sinner has a future.
Amen.
Oh gosh, I'm sorry, this turned into a Bible study.
It's quite all right. I told you to go for it if you wanted to. Just go with the flow. It's fine. No, I love it. And where can people pick your book up? Where can they pick it up?
I was listening to you earlier today, Narnia, and you can get your alcohol on Amazon, and you can get the memo on Amazon. You can get everything.
You can get everything on Amazon. It's so true.
Go to Amazon.com. It's available on Kindle, and it's published by Postal Press, distributed by Simon & Schuster. And Amazon is a terrific vehicle. And so I'm going to ask your listeners to go get the memo. And my last name is Yoest, Yoest. And get the book and then write me a review. So I'd like to hear what you got a loyal following, man. I'd love to hear what your listeners would say about the memo. So because that's a clever way of saying I want to see some scripture in this reviews. So.
I love it. Well, sir, it has been an absolute pleasure talking to you today. Thank you so much for doing the show. I appreciate it.
Invite me back. I'd come back anytime. Talk Bible. Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely, please do. This is Mr. Jack Yoest, ladies and gentlemen, that we have on the show. Thank you so much, and you have a great evening. I will definitely be in touch.
All right, thank you very much.
Absolutely. Bye-bye. You are listening to Money Talk with Melanie. I'm your business diva, Melanie Collette, and I blew through my first break, so we're going to go to a break right now.
If you are a Trump-hating rhino Republican who looks the other way when Democrats literally set out to destroy the Republic, prepare to be booted out of office. Hello, I'm Ron Edwards. On today's page from the Edwards Notebook, President Trump clearly stated that the corporate tax rate must be lowered now to make America once again competitive on the world.
How would you guys like to guess? I muted the recording of the audio so I can talk to you guys. It's a new thing I'm trying. How did you guys like the gas? Post a comment.
The corporate way. The Republicans are also trying
Now I gotta
to
remember
cover
to
the works by not issuing
unmute it.
across-the-board tax reductions, despite knowing that such measures could cause a repeat of 1981, when selfish politicians delayed tax reductions for a year and caused a recession. President Reagan agonized over the decision to give in to the statist politicians who persuaded him not to oppose their delay of granting tax relief for the people of America. I pray that Republicans will awaken from their stupor of pretending not to understand that tax cuts bring in more revenue, and the wasteful spending must be curtailed. You Trump haters, he is doing his job, and it is past time you do yours, or prepare to be booted out of office. I'm Ron Edwards. Sponsored by the Tri-County Liberty Coalition.
Who likes paying taxes? Nobody. That's why Eva Rosenberg from TaxMama.com wants you to pay less of them. Read Small Business Taxes Made Easy and learn how to set up a business plan that minimizes taxes, the tax benefits of different forms of financing, spot and fix errors in the 1099s, legally increase your deductible expenses with better record-keeping techniques. Don't let the IRS squeeze you out of every penny. Start deducting today. Visit TaxMama.com. TaxMama.com. That's TaxMama with one M.com.
My name is David Barnett, and I've been helping people buy and sell small and medium-sized businesses since 2008. So far this year, I've gone on 5 vacations. It's because I've got my own business. When you get tired of being managed by someone else and you decide that business ownership is right for you without the risk of starting your own unproven enterprise, then come over to businessbuyeradvantage.com. There are over 100 YouTube videos on buying and selling businesses that you can watch for free. That's businessbuyeradvantage.com.
Welcome to this week's Money Talk Minute with your business diva, Melanie Collette. This week, we're going to discuss interest rates. Why are they important? Well, they're important on 2 sides of your financial coin. On the one side, you have your debt, credit card debt, loans, and things like that. You always want to get the lowest interest rate possible. Why? That means that that money is costing you a lot less to borrow with a lower interest rate. And speaking of that, when you're looking at which loan or which credit card to pay off first, you're always going to look at the interest rate. Which one has the highest interest rate? That's the one you want to start paying off first. On the savings side of the financial coin, what kind of savings account do you want to open? Which one should you choose? You will always choose the one with the best interest rate. And on the savings side, the best interest rate will be the highest interest rate. This means it will yield you the highest amount of return. And that's it for your Money Talk Minute of the week. I am your business diva, Melanie Collette.
Power brokers use corrupt politicians, deceptive Islam, and lies from establishment media to turn the once shining city on a hill into the city of the blind. What do the elites fear? One man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me at SHR Media,
I like
High
David
Plains
Milner's
Talk Radio,
promo better than my
iTunes,
own.
and YouTube for a different kind of commentary on the unpleasant blind guy. Because truth is not always pleasant.
Hello, I'm Tim Hart. I'm the guy BZ hires due to his shameless contract with the SHR Media Network to voice his promos. He'd like me to tell you that the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show can be found on SHR Media Network, Spreaker, and YouTube every Tuesday and Thursday night at 11 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Pacific, featuring right thinking from a left brain and doing the job the American media maggots won't. You'll find that the speech is free, but the drinks are not. There, in the saloon, just when safety pin manufacturers are running out of metal for the diapers of the leftists, BZ is sending his personal drones of freedom into the wheelhouses and obstacles of lovers of sovereignty and liberty nationally and globally. Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, BZ swears that no rights were harmed in the making of this promo.
And we're back. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. I'm your business diva, Melanie Collette. Those last few promos are from my fellow radio hosts, and I just enjoy them so much. It's particularly when you know the guys I have heard that promo at least 100 and some odd times, according to how many episodes I've done. I think 134. And I laugh like every time I hear it because they're just so good. And the Unpleasant Blind guy, Dave Milner, who's also fantastic. If you guys don't get a chance, if you guys are missing their podcasts and their shows on SHR Media, you are missing out. Just saying. And Ron Edwards as well. I can't believe I didn't mention my boy Ron. Love him. Also, and by the way, if you were just joining me, hi Chuck Manahan. Should I tell a secret about you and my relationship, Chuck? How I know you, how I met you. If you don't want me to tell it, Chuck, I won't. You can type in it. You can type in the thread. But anyway, I had my first job. I think Chuck was my manager at my very first job, which was many moons ago. And if you're wondering why if you're just joining me and you're wondering why I'm not talking to a guest, it's because I decided to switch the format around a little bit because my guest had to go off to another interview. So I decided to do the housekeeping and any news or whatever last. So that's why I am chatting with you this way at this particular moment. In terms of housekeeping, on Friday, I'm going to be back on Sirius XM, Patriot Tonight. I was out last week because I was under the weather, unfortunately. But I'm back on Friday on Sirius XM, Patriot 125. The show is Patriot Tonight, and it airs from 9 p.m. to midnight on, like I said, on Patriot, on channel Patriot 125. It's a call-in show. So if you listen, you can call in and talk to me about whatever current events. My producer, I'm just laughing to myself because my producer's like, it's the big, this is the big leagues. She reminds me, how many millions of people there are listening, and that's the big leagues. Not to scare me, but just every now and then to remind me of that. And literally, you get like an hour of prep. They get you go in, and she's like, okay, you're gonna have 6 guests over 3 hours. And you're going to take calls, and hopefully you know something about all these subject matters. Go. And then they put you on the air. Pretty much how it goes. Whereas for my little show, it takes me more time to prep for my show for one guest than the show actually lasts. That's an absolute true story. So every time I go into Sirius, I'm just like, Sirius is named appropriately, at least in my case. In terms of Money Talk News Report, the Food and Drug Administration, I didn't hear much about this today at all, approved the world's first digital drug. It's a pill, and listen, they've been talking about this for a while. It's an ingestible sensor that will track whether or not patients with mental illnesses have taken their medication. Experts, shockingly, have expressed concern over patient privacy and the data that's going to be created or stored. I don't know. Are you concerned about a pill that you take that's computerized that will keep track of whether or not you've taken your medication? I mean, it's not like we get hacked all the time or anything, or that companies get hacked all the time. But yeah, that's happening. The Food and Drug Administration just approved it. And in case you were concerned about the security of that data, the teen retailer Forever 21 thinks they've been hacked, think they have a potential data breach. So I know I was wrong to include those two together. Forgive me. But it's kind of funny. It's just a little bit funny. I mean, look. As techie as I am, and I love technology, I'm big on technology, I'm not sure I want to swallow a pill that's checking to see whether or not I took my meds. Because, listen, if they're going to start doing it with mental patients, right, my guess is that insurance companies are going to be all over this to make sure that everybody's doing it with their other medications. I mean, to me, there's a slippery slope argument that comes to mind. What about your blood pressure patients? I mean, because if they don't take, if you have high blood pressure, and of course I'm generalizing, and you're not taking your medication, it could lead to stroke and heart attacks and all kinds of stuff like that. I could see insurance companies, Big Brother really keeping their eye on you. I mean, you would have to take it, but I don't know. I like my computers, but not like ingesting them. I think that's where I might have I didn't know where my line was, and I think I just found it. I think that's it when you start saying, you know, you have to ingest it. I mean, I have a reminder, a pill reminder app on my phone that reminds me to take medicine, but I think this is as far as I want it to go. I don't know, but the FDA just approved it, so keep your eye out for that. Because they're going to be tracking you. I want to thank everybody for listening to Money Talk with Melanie today. I want to thank my guest, Jack Yoest, who was fantastic. I want to thank my sponsors, Eva Rosenberg, the Tax Mama, and Dave Barnett of BusinessBuyerAdvantage.com. Please do go to their websites, check them out. Remember, all of this is very important because, after all, it is your money.